All right, and here we go. All right, welcome everybody. We're very pleased today to have Jetara Sehart with Love Our Wild Horses join us today. She's got a really great presentation set up for us, and Jackie Oliveri will be joining us a little bit as well. If you do have any questions for either one of them, please go ahead and put your questions in the chat box, and we will otherwise ask everybody to remain muted if you would please. A little bit about Jetara and Love Wild Horses. Jetara is a visionary leader and passionate advocate dedicated to harnessing the incredible power of wild horses in the fight against climate change, promoting carbon sequestration, and mitigating wildfires. For over 14 years, she has founded and spearheaded a transformative movement through the nonprofit Love Wild Horses Foundation, building an influential educational platform that has attracted more than 700,000 followers across social media. Under Jetara's leadership and since their inception, LWHF has been instrumental in generating mass awareness, inspiring over 5 million signatures and calls to action in support of saving wild lands and rescuing wild horses from unnecessary removal, slaughter, and extinction. Jetara, go ahead and start when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Heather. First of all, I just would like to begin to say thank you to everybody who has taken time out of their busy lives today and to join us, to listen and to be there to help save these magnificent beings that represent power and freedom. And it's, as we speak today about the wild horses, I think it's just important also to remember and to touch upon that all who I know who have met wild horses understand that there is a spiritual aspect of these magnificent beings that defies words. It's just beyond words, the pure magic that they bring to humanity and Mother Earth. But I will go ahead now and dive in, and thank you, thank you, thank you for being here to help us save them. Love wild horses. So on this screen, this gorgeous horse, her name is Alawan, and we didn't know she was pregnant when we saved her. We saved her life and also 22 other wild horses, and 3 of the mares were pregnant, and we saved them from slaughter. So we're just so grateful to have her, to have been able to save this magnificent being. Her name is Alawan. In Lakota, her name means a song that gives your life purpose. And she now runs free, forever safe on her own protected 500 acres of land in Nevada. And we're going to move into, let's see, moving into a video here that you can just take a look. Everybody can just enjoy for a moment the herd and the land. And just notice, this is Skan. His name means sky, sky spirit. And as you can see, if you just take a look at the magnificent green everywhere you see, when we began this project, this whole area was nearly barren. And so moving on, but I hope you just enjoy that moment of these gorgeous horses living forever free and healing this land. Now we're moving to to understand the numbers, and my heart goes out also to all of the advocates who are listening and all of the organizations for saving the wild horses. We understand how challenging it is and how important it is to save these magnificent beings. So we'll just begin here, returning the 83,000 jailed endangered wild horses and burros to our vast grasslands saves taxpayers, or will save taxpayers, $90 million annually. So there's just every good reason for us to return all of the government incarcerated wild horses back to the land to help reduce wildfire danger and to mitigate climate change. California's wildfires year to date, this is as of March, cost over $4 billion. And tragically, if everybody could just take a moment of just a little bit of space right now, one moment, and just send some prayers up whatever you believe in, God, Goddess, Creator, Universe, Spirit, for all of the beings in Southern California who have been lost in those wildfires, and for the humans, for the wildlife, for the horses, and the 40,500 acres that burned this past in 2025. So if we could just take a moment and just send some blessings up to these beings. And with that prayer, if you could please dream with us and envision with us returning the approximate 83,000 incarcerated horses back to the land to help make that land safer from wildfire. And just send that prayer up with us for a minute right now, please. And now we're moving on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings up to all the beings lost in the fire and their loved ones. So now we're moving on to the $24 billion weather and climate event disaster. Total of 24 events through mid-October is second only to the 27 events reported by this time last year. So we have an urgent crisis that these animals, they are a free and natural resource for all of us. And we simply, we have a plan, and I hope that you will feel inspired to join us and help us bring these horses back to the land where they belong, and save taxpayers money, and save these animals, and save the land. So now we're moving on to another very hard statistic. And so this is year to date as of late November 2024. 18,378 of America's horses and burros have been exported to Mexico for slaughter. These are the three states: Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and the numbers. So the majority of the horses actually came, here from Texas. And 15,000 horses moved through the Texas border to Mexico. And so it's just so urgent. Of these 18,378 horses and burros, we don't have an exact number of the wild horses and burros, but we are aware that many were wild horses and burros. And so we're just calling, we hope that you will join our voice and join our movement, and also stay tuned for some exciting legislative possibility and options that we are working on, and support that to help ban horse slaughter export, and to utilize these beautiful wild horses, and to support the role that they play that is so urgently needed for the Wild West. So here's our another tough statistic. And again, much compassion to all of the people who are fighting for the horses, and all of our warriors who are working to help save them. In 2024, more than 200 wild horses and burros lost their lives from unnecessary, brutal, and inhumane gov removals, and approximately 21,000 lost their freedom. Our long-term goal and vision is to shape transformative policies that secure freedom and resilience for wild horses and burros, leveraging our proven rewilding models to revitalize lands, combat climate change, and mitigate wildfire threats. And in doing so, this will stop the roundups. I personally took this photo, and if you can look here, this is the helicopter, how low this is flying here. And here's the little baby horses that are being chased. This was in Wyoming in the checkerboard area in 2011. And 774 horses were removed from over 800,000 acres, and only 130 horses were returned. And of those, 40 mares, 40 PZP treated mares. So basically, what we're dealing with is that the horses are being managed, as the advocates know. Unfortunately, they're being managed right now to extinction, because we believe really the role is not being recognized that these magnificent animals serve for Mother Earth, humanity, surrounding communities. This is really exciting right now. Let's see, I'm just gonna move this box up here. If you just take a look at this photo, please. This is the beginning of our forming our herd in our project, in our climate and wildfire land revitalization project in northeastern Nevada. So we began on September 15th, 2022, and on 500 acres of land that was overgrazed by cattle and really depleted to the point where there were only 20 species of variety of plants when we began. So just take a moment and look at that photo, please. And so since the presence of the horses have been there, and since our project, 9 months later, we already saw the positive impact that is extremely apparent in the new areas and new seas of grasses that, spread throughout the entire 500 acres. And especially the seas of grasses are blooming and sprouting all around where the horses congregate. It's sort of maybe important to understand that in our projects, in our rewilding projects, what we're doing is providing some supplemental feed and human support for the horses. So we don't just put them on the land. These projects, the horses are supported in order to help heal that land and the horses, for the land to support the horses and the horses to support the land in beautiful balance.
Jetara.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. This is Jackie
Hi, Jack.
Olivieri. I just wanted to jump in and ask you, are you able to go back to the frame before and
Yes.
just so you could show them that this is
Yes.
the exact same view?
Yes.
Because that's important.
Yes, it's a great point. Right. So
So
see the mountain range. So now we're
see the
going to go.
ridge line.
Yeah. So we'll go here.
So this isn't just like, oh, there's a photo from a different area on the property. It's the exact same view.
And here you see, here there are 3 babies. This is Woyawash Day in the background. And this is Inyan Wichipi, which means rock star. His other name is Elvis. And over here is Chichila, which means I love you. Their names in Lakota. And that thankfully from our incredible partners, thank you to them, our incredible land partners and supporters, we were able to get this done. And the reason this is so important is our model now is a successful model. It is working. And so now we are going to be scaling this up next, but now we'll just move on. So this is 9 months later. Here we go, and I'm just coming into a video here for you to just take a look at the land. And now we're moving to, this is just in just 2 years, our Love Wild Horses Foundation 5-year climate and wildfire land revitalization project is transforming 500 acres of high desert land to thrive. Please take a look at this incredible river. And the moisture, the grass, the color of the grass, the color of the soil has changed. So in just 2 years, our plant species have increased exponentially from 20 species to 65 species, variations of plants. And also, I just would like to add with that, not only is the flora increasing in its biodiversity, but also the fauna. We witnessed an endangered Mexican jumping mouse that has suddenly appeared on this land and site. And this is important to note because according to U.S. Forest Service, wild horses were removed because of threat to the Mexican jumping mouse. But here we have a model that clearly shows that the Mexican jumping mouse is living in harmony with the presence of these 22 horses on 500 acres. Also, we have elk that have newly returned to this property. And we have long-pronged antelope, an assortment of beautiful rabbits and birds. It's just phenomenal what we're seeing. So we're so happy to share this with you today. Here is the new river that has returned to this land. And if you just would take a look at this magnificence, this river was not there, and at the richness of the soil that is all around. So the thing is that horses, we do understand that burros and horses dig out watering sites. We have, science has recently, National Geographic, I believe, came out with an article about that, discussing. And what we're doing is we are seeing this, we are witnessing this at this property. And, it's just an incredible thing what's happening here. So we need to expand this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. So here we have the 3 photos for you to take a look. And in 2022, the land was 70% barren. 2 years later, the land now is 80% green and only 20% barren. And as mentioned, from 20 species of plants to 65. Grasses, native grasses, natural grasses, plants thriving. Also, there are flowers, all kinds of bees, butterflies have returned. It's just really an exciting thing and gives us so much hope that as we return the horses back to the land, then in fact that land can be restored. Also, I would just like to mention that the timeline that this has happened in is expedited. So typically when land is overgrazed by cattle and ranchers rest that land to heal, it takes approximately 10 years to heal. So in our study, as you can see, in about 2 years and now 2.5 years, this is a 5-year study, by the way, and already halfway through, the land is so dramatically healed. So this is really important because we want to translate this for ranchers to understand too, that in fact the horses are a gift for the land for them as well. So here we have, these are the 3 babies right here, Will You Wash Day, and Tachila and Inyan Wichipi, and this is Wakan, and I think this might be Brego back here. And so if you could just take a notice and look at the green grass that's growing here. And just understand what's really different about wild horses. And that's what's so important for us to, as advocates, to remember when we're speaking to everybody, is that as we put these horses back on the land, wherever they roam, they are transplanting live seeds in seed beds back to the earth. And there is no other migrating herbivore that is able to do this. So horses, especially wild horses and burros, have their digestive system enables the seed to be alive and in order to heal the ecosystem by planting living seeds back. So here on the left, you can see manure pile and see it's all sprouting. And basically wherever the manure is on the land, right, Jackie, this is what we see. Okay, and so now we're moving to this very exciting, our second project is coming, our second climate, and it's actually underway and begun in phase 1. And we're so thankful and grateful again for our magnificent partners. They are of Shoshone descent, and it's a Shoshone family who we are partnering with on 100 acres of their family privately owned land on Wind River Reservation in Wyoming. And this is really important for us to bring forward evidence and to really understand the positive impact that the horses provide for this land. This family and our partners are just so incredible and perfectly matched for us. Austin Hill, he is a 6-year experienced equine program, a therapeutic director. And so not only will this be a climate and wildfire land restoration project, and also a water development project, a water conservation development project, but in addition, it will be a Shoshone horse medicine therapeutic program. And we are so grateful for these people, and we hope you feel excited about this. Our large vision is to create 5 projects like this, so we now have 2. And so we'll just move on from here so you can see more photos. And look at how beautiful this is. The children are helping pound and create steaks create holes for the railroad posts, the railroad ties that were donated. And thanks to our generous donors, we were able to transport all of these heavy ties to the land and help give them a few basics to get started for phase one. So very exciting.
Jetara, I'm sorry, I was muted before and
That's okay.
I was answering you.
Oh, no. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Do you have anything you might like to add about this, Jackie?
I'll let you finish this. I wanted to talk more about the manure.
Oh, sure, sure. Okay, sure. So let me go back then to that. Let's go back here. Okay, go ahead, Jackie.
I
Please.
just wanted to say, the last 2 springs, I went to the study site and the project and in Nevada. And I was walking, last time I was there in April, I was walking and just analyzing the manure piles. And I noticed that if you see how like the manure is obviously that's old manure, it's dried out. If you were to kick it over, there's all grass germinating under it. Like the manure locks in the moisture.
Mhm.
And then you see like it starts to sprout out. But it's just amazing. I spend so much time looking at manure piles. I have probably thousands of pictures of different manure piles if anybody wants to see them, but I have all different plants literally growing out of them. So if anybody has interest, just shoot us a
Mhm.
message and we could show you more photos because it's very interesting.
Thank you so much. It's so important. That was so important to share. So here's our gorgeous project coming. We're so excited about that. This is another project. We're working with Mystic and Star, our 2 ambassadors that we do outreach with here in Sonoma County, California. And here, this is a very powerful reconnection, and it can't be stated strongly enough how important this connection is. Many of the beautiful indigenous people who lived here had bonds with horses, and the wild horses were taken from them, and they are symbolic also power. And so reconnecting the horses with especially indigenous people to give back power and funding to support healing and restoration is just so beautiful and important. So we hope you love that as well. Here is Star. He on this side of the fence, the closest side of the fence, saying hello to Mystic. So we're reconnecting wild horses, and this is the first time that they met. And look at how Mystic came over and said hello, and so did Star to one another.
Yeah, they definitely know another wild.
Yeah, it's just so incredible. And so now we're moving to the money. We're moving to our big vision. And here are a few ways that you can help partner and empower our impact to save the wild horses and wild burros and wild lands, to help rewild and save more of the 83,000 incarcerated and endangered wild horses back to their natural habitats in 2025. We have an ambitious funding goal for us, $1 million, to really, really begin moving those horses out. Our other immediate goals right now, fundraising goals that you can help with and just understand what we're doing, is to expand our science team to help drive innovation for our pioneering Northern Nevada rewilding climate and wildfire mitigation land resilience project. So we're aiming to raise 25,000 for this. So it's actually, excuse me, a conservative number for us and for this particular project because it is huge and so important. We hope you'll feel inspired. And then also to protect the wild horses and tribal lands in Wyoming is what we're working on with our second climate resilience project. Just take a moment, Jackie, if you can step in and read this for me. I appreciate my voice is going.
What are we up
I don't
to?
know why. Thank you.
Oh, empower land conservation in California. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
on my
that's okay. Oh,
I'm
that's
on my
okay.
phone, so it's like everything's
Okay.
so
Oh,
small.
that's okay.
Join.
We're
Okay.
we're up above on the tribal lands in Wyoming project.
Okay. Support our second climate resilience project in partnership.
Mhm.
with Shoshone. I'm sorry, I'm reading on a phone, so I have to
Yes.
keep sliding it back and forth. With us, with Shoshone tribal members. Together, we'll save, heal, and protect 7 wild horses and restore 100 acres of privately owned tribal land on the Wind River Reservation. Startup costs 35,000.
Right. And so thank you so much, Jackie. I think my voice is back sort of.
I'm not good at that.
So what I'd like to add to this, just for everybody's understanding, is that each of our projects acts as a model. It acts as a catalyst, for us to jump off of and to scale up. So right now, the horses on Shoshone Reservation are being managed similarly to the horses that are on public lands. And so similarly, many Shoshone people don't agree with the disappearance of the horses, as we don't. And so what this is very, very important, as this beautiful family is going to be partnering with us and demonstrating and bringing forward evidence, and also their traditional ecological knowledge they will be bringing to create positive change on Wind Reservation in the future, and with hope.
Yes, and the hope is that it will spread like wildfire, no pun intended,
Yeah.
throughout the reservation, and they will be role models for
Yes.
their people.
Thank you, Jackie. That was perfect. Okay. And then the next one is Empower Land Conservation in California. Join us in the planning phase of a land acquisition project in the scouting of prime equine rewilding land sites to abate extreme fire danger. This initiative aims to conserve wild horses in critical wildlands. Our funding goal is $22,000 to get that started. I'm going to be speaking a little faster because I am cognizant of the time. And thank you for your patience and attending, everybody. So now we're moving down to amplify awareness and advocacy. We do quite a bit of this. Jackie has held many protests and hosted many protests on behalf of Love Wild Horses, and also nationwide wild horse rallies, and this past year. And this is so important. So there's many different forms of advocacy, as well as we need to be able to jump and run to Washington as needed. So our funding goal here is $20,000. So now we're going to move on. Other ways to help is to invite your friends and family to join the mission Save Wild Horses by hosting an event to raise awareness and support, or by becoming a land conservation partner, or donating land, or perhaps reaching out to your friends who own land to discuss this, just, connect us. It's all about building relationships to save these horses. The wild horses are a bridge. And so we would love for you to help us and build more relationships to help save these magnificent beings. Volunteering your time and talents, following and sharing our journey on the Wild Horse Protection Act pages on Facebook, Meta, and Instagram. Thank you from all of us and from the wild horses whose futures you're helping to protect. From all of us at the Love Wild Horses Foundation, we are so grateful for you. Moving on to a brief video, we hope you enjoy this, of some of the herd running free.
No one
And so thank you, everyone. This is our number 833 to rewild. If you'd like to give us a call and connect, our website is lovewildhorses.org. We are actively seeking land partnership, and for our sites for projects 3, 4, and 5. And please stay tuned. We have some exciting news coming that we will be announcing. So please do sign up. Either you can sign up through our website, lovewildhorses.org, or in the chat box, please provide your email address if you feel comfortable and would like to stay in touch. This is Jackie Oliveri. She's so amazing. And this is Kona. And Kona, what also we'd love to share is that each horse, like each human, has their own incredible, multifaceted personality. And Kona, he is so funny. He is in Lakota, they call this a sacred clown. He is like Heoke. And so that's his role in the herd. Everybody plays a different role. And Kona's role is the sacred clown. And he makes himself known. And as you can see, he's like right up on top of Jackie. So it's hard to take photos of him because he's like right on you.
Every time I was taking photos out there,
Yeah.
I all of a sudden feel the breath behind my neck. Like
Oh,
he would come up right behind me.
he just so loves you. And
He's
it was
so
just,
funny.
oh, so beautiful. And and then this last photo is a photo of me with the wild horses, walking with them in a sudden hailstorm. So one of the things that the wild horses experience in the West is rapidly changing weather patterns. So from 1 minute the sun is out, an hour later the clouds could come over and there could be a wild hailstorm coming down. And so the herd is constantly ready to move and adjust and practicing flexibility and teaching us flexibility and awareness on a very high level.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody, one and all. And we are through now with our presentation here, so we can stop the share and move on to our question and answer period.
Perfect. That was a beautiful presentation, Jetara. Thank you so much. And thank you to Jackie for joining us today as well.
Thank
You're
you.
I'm
welcome.
going to run through some of these questions in the chat box, and I will let the two of you decide who wants to answer them. And the first one is from Jeanette. She wants to know if the land that you've started with already, was it BLM land or Forest Service land? And did you obtain a lease for the land, or do you now own it?
No, this is the land, both sites that we're working on presently are actually privately owned land. And so we're really grateful for this. And thank you, Jeanette. That's a great question. We're really grateful for it to begin in this way, because this way we have ability to manage the study by ourselves, or the project by ourselves, and to document. We have worked in the past and partnered in the past with the BLM on a water development project in northeastern Nevada and helped save many horses there. What we're finding is, and we do hope someday that the horses will be rewilded back to the public land. Right now, we are putting the horses back on land that is safe for them. Private land, tribal land, state, and/or public land. So thank you very much for that question.
Thank you for that answer. Our next question is, do you allow visitors such as the media to document the stories, or advocates to view and share the stories?
At this time, our study is protected. This project is protected. If you could just imagine these little delicate plant heads coming up. And so we don't want a lot of feet on the property, and also to allow the horses to adjust. At some point, we will allow visitors, and we will open to visitors.
Yeah, like we're thinking of having like a reception at some point
Right.
where we would invite
Mhm.
media and donors and supporters.
That
Right.
would be awesome.
And media could come too. It's just right now it's protected because also not far away, unfortunately, is Madeline Pickens' ranch, and she lost 120 horses on her ranch. And so we really, our priority, just I hope everybody can understand, is to keep these horses safe and this project safe. It's crucial. We believe it's a really important key to help save all the wild horses, to bring this evidence forward of the incredible positive role that they play for the ecosystems.
I know it might sound like paranoia, but the thing is, we all know there is so many out there who don't want to see this project succeed, and we know why.
Right.
There's many against, this project, the ranching community. Not all of them, but I'm just saying there's a lot of this project has a target on it out in the middle of Nevada.
Right.
So, that's why we're very protective over it.
Right.
When you
And also we're protecting the privacy of the family.
Yes.
Right, right. And when you say, I'm sorry, when you say Madeline lost 120
Yes.
horses, what
Yes.
happened there briefly?
Oh, what happened? And this was about, I can't remember if it was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe.
I think it
She,
was like 2018 or 19.
right, she did, she created this incredible Mustang, heritage, basically a retreat with the Mustangs running free, and bought a bunch of property. And the water was shut off to the horses, and 120 horses died. And they never did find out who shut the water off.
Oh
But
no, I had,
but if you look it up, if you do a Google search, about it, it will come up, and there's a lot of stories. And I don't know, the news did a big story on how the BLM might have had something to do with it.
Right. So it's like, so basically right now, we just hope that everybody can have a big heart for this project, and just trust that as soon as we feel it's safe to open, we will. And right now, really our priority, and we hope that everybody will understand, is actually to bring this positive information forward about the positive impact that horses have on the ecosystem. And that's really, and their safety is most important for us to protect right now.
so as another follow-up to that, because I myself spend quite a bit of time on the range and have been to many, many herd areas.
Yes.
We don't have nearly as many rewilding projects or organizations in the United States as they do, say, in Europe.
Yes.
Are you
Hmm.
guys considering maybe putting together, a one-page sheet or something that will show the before and after effects of having the
Yes.
horses off and then on the land, something that we can use to at some point send to legislators to show them the difference?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, and Heather, you are spot on with actually where we're headed.
Perfect, perfect. Just what I wanted to hear. That's excellent. Thank you.
You're
We
welcome. Right.
we have another question about feeding, and MK 2023 would say, how much are you feeding the horses and for how long do you plan to keep on feeding them? How long will
Mm.
be necessary?
Okay, what a great question. So presently, right now, the horses do receive supplemental feed anywhere from 6 to 7 months out of the year. And basically what we're doing is we're carefully watching the herd and watching the land. And we move the feeders on the land. That also is a really important point. So that what we've noticed is around the feeders, by the way, the land becomes more fertile wherever the horses are eating. It's as it is. It's as if there's a natural compost, excuse me, that happens with the hay, a little bit of the hay that falls on the ground. And so we have creating incredible fertile land. So basically, if we could just imagine horses on public land with some human support, healing that land and bringing that land back to restore that land as we're doing, in a way that then eventually the land supports the horses and the horses support that land. And that's our goal to get there.
And
Yes.
that's
So there's no
amazing.
like exact formula. It's
Right,
constantly being analyzed how
right.
much they need and take away. And
Right. So we're constantly, so basically it's like we are constantly being flexible. So each of something kind of important to understand is with each of these beautiful projects is we do need somebody to be on site. These horses are never just like dumped on the land and left there. We are being very careful to make sure they're safe and to support the horses and the land to thrive together.
stay tuned because we'll be going back this spring with
Mhm.
lots of updates.
Perfect. Well, we'll be looking for this. Karen would like to know what locations the horses were rescued from or came from, if you're able
Oh,
to
so
share.
yeah, thank you, Karen. Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you, Karen. That's a fabulous question as well. This is a very interesting story because we actually rescued this herd and established this herd, and I basically handpicked the horses. And it's a very challenging thing to create a herd, a newly established herd. We selected many of the horses for native traits. And because in the future, we're hoping to do DNA testing as well about their ancestral lineage and bloodlines. But right now, what we did is we rescued 20 horses from 5 different states. And we gradually introduced them. So from Oregon, Oklahoma, Jackie, can you help me?
Um,
Nevada. Oh, actually, Northern California. Oh gosh, I'm
I
missing.
get mixed up because of the ones that aren't in the study.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Washington State.
Yes.
And I'm missing one. But
Oh,
basically,
did anybody come from Nevada?
Oh, yes, somebody came from Nevada.
Nevada.
That's who I'm missing. Right. So basically what we're doing is, and the challenge with some of these horses for everybody to just understand is to track the horses is not always an easy thing to do. Sometimes the brands are not legible on them, and especially when we're saving them from slaughter, which is the case with this herd, and from high risk of sale to slaughter. I hope that answered the question all right.
And as a follow-up to that question, and there may be one farther down, I'm just scrolling slowly. So is your herd a reproducing herd at all, or are you making sure the stallions are gelding? What's the status on that? I noticed you had
Okay.
foals in the photos.
All right, we do have foals because 3 of the mares arrived pregnant, and unbeknownst to us at the time. So we were really shocked and surprised, and praying that the foals would be born all right after all they'd been through, and in a kill buyer auction, and
Malnourished.
transported malnourished. But luckily, the babies all survived, and they're so healthy. This herd and all of the herds on our studies, unless the acreage is flexible and expanding, will be non-reproducing. And it's the reason why is because we are bringing forward information to understand how many horses per acre in 5 different climate variations can heal that land best and ideally.
That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Lori is asking,
They
so
also,
are
I'm
you,
sorry, they also, because they came from the kill pens and they were already through BLM, they were already gelded.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. In your rewilding projects, are you doing any seeding of the land, or are you simply letting
Yes.
the land rewild itself on its own?
Yeah, so okay, so we each of our projects is going to be a little different again. So just sort of reiterate, what is different about Love Wild Horses is we are developing as we move forward. We are constantly adjusting and developing. And that's really important to do, to have that flexibility to be there for what the needs of the land and the needs of the horses are. In Nevada, our Nevada partner cleared about 100 acres of land and seeded that land with native grasses, and fenced it off. But the horses immediately just, like jumped over the fence and went on the land. However, we are noticing that it's a nice balance to have some of the land seeded and some of the land natural. And that's what's happening on that 500 acres.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anna Maria is asking, how did the good rains from the last 2 years affect the regrowth on the piece of land for the 20 horses in Nevada?
Oh my gosh. Well, the rain was increased. And so we could, as we looked at that, some people who are perhaps, not in favor of wild horses and maybe who don't understand that actually they heal the land, are attributing the growth and the sprouting to the rain. However, what I want to say that is very interesting is that the neighboring properties around our property, the 500 acres, you can see a dramatic difference. So where the horses are, everything is seas of green. And actually, another really cool thing is that the seas of green are spreading under the fence onto neighbor's property from this property. So basically what we're looking at is we're doing comparison documentation of what's happening around so that we can really understand what the presence of the horses is doing for that land.
Yeah, I would just, that was a really good question because it would have been, I'm just thinking it would have been good to put that photo because we took photos of the fence line where you can actually see that happening. You see
Well,
it.
And Jackie, actually, and Heather, if you could please ask whoever asked that question, if they would like to email us, we can email them photos.
Yeah,
We'd be happy to do that.
because that is a very powerful point.
Yes.
Well, yes, absolutely. And I think it's something, that our legislators would actually need to see as well, that when the
Yeah.
livestock is not present, but horses are present, this is what happens. And this is what, 30 to 40 other countries around the world are
Yes.
using horses for, is specifically
Exactly.
for conservation and rewilding purposes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Spain, and also Iberia and Mongolia. So they're way ahead of us. And so it's time for our beautiful country to put these horses back, to take them out of these concentration camp like facilities that are costing taxpayers, $55 million a year, or 50, yeah,
And rising.
yeah, and rising, to house them in these places, to put them back on the land where they're free for taxpayers to roam, and to take, to reallocate a tiny bit of that funding in order to support the horses to restore areas of the land.
I
Yeah,
even just recently saw a very interesting story in the UK where one of the old manors there who has quite a bit of acreage, they had been using that acreage for agriculture for decades, but they were losing money. They
Yes.
needed the money for fertilizers and
Mhm.
bug spray, et cetera, et cetera.
mm,
So they finally said, you know what, we're just going to stop doing agriculture on this piece of land and we're going to let it rewild itself. And guess what they brought in to help the
Horses.
land rewild itself? Some semi-wild ponies in the
ah,
UK. They
Yay.
and what they discovered is that birds who hadn't been seen in the area in
yes,
decades
Yes.
suddenly knew to return to the area because the
Right.
bug spray and the fertilizers and all of that had disappeared, and those horses were helping to rewild that piece of land.
yes,
And
Yep.
that manor, who was losing money doing agriculture, is now making a ton of money a year by having turned their property into an eco-tour situation.
yes.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Heather. And in case anybody missed earlier too, what I shared earlier, that we are seeing the same thing. So we can, echo that sentiment that the presence of the wild horses free roaming on land and an imbalance in number create an incredible, healthy increase in biodiversity of flora and fauna, both. And, so we are seeing that we saw a Mexican jumping mouse on the land, which is endangered. We are seeing, all of a sudden, the property owner, he's seeing elk come back to the
The
land,
long prong.
the
He
long
said
prairie
he said
antelope.
when he first moved there that he never saw the long prong. And when we were there, they were just laying in the grass like amongst the horses, like not in the middle of the herd, but they're not intimidated by the horses. He said they come down from the mountain now and they jump over the fence and come onto his property.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, they all live as one, as a beautiful, harmonious, thriving, interactive, thriving relationship to keep the ecosystem healthy.
Yeah. They weren't scared of us, the long
Same.
prongs. They were scared of, I mean, they weren't scared of the horses. When they saw us coming, they took off, but they were just chilling with the horses. It was really cool.
Yes.
We got to get more
Cheryl,
video of that.
Cheryl wants to thank Jackie for sending fact sheets. Apparently, you emailed them to Cheryl, and she has been using those fact sheets in meeting with her one of her senator's aides, and says they were
Oh,
very well received. So, are those
I
fact
think those
sheets
were
something we can
the,
share out, Jackie?
yeah, you know what? I think she's talking about the ones that Barbara put together from,
Okay, the 5 one-pagers from Barbara. Yep.
yes.
Okay.
I think those are the ones that she's talking about, but we are putting together one from Love Wild Horses, and we will have those soon. And if you're on our mailing list, we'll send them out so people could use those too.
Yeah, so if
Perfect.
you Yeah, so Heather, if anybody circles back, please, feel free to give our email address or they can check in through our website. So if people would like, fact sheets, we are connected. Last year, I met with many congressional representatives, senators' offices, as well as did Jackie, and we received full positive support, and actually it was bipartisan. So we're, really excited about what's happening. And even though it's so horrific this past year, what the wild horses have been through, we are hopeful that it's positive to, shift this paradigm and flip the whole thing on its head and just turn it around and put these horses back on that land.
And
Yeah.
somebody just made a comment here, Chris and I started Save Our Wild Horses with a postcard campaign, and I've done a couple more since then. And Chris and I did a joint one last year where we had nearly 80,000 postcards sent to the Appropriations Committee. But somebody pointed out here that
I
having on a
participated.
postcard, yeah, thank you, Jackie, having on a postcard the before and after of, removing livestock and introducing wild horses as a half and
Yes.
half on a postcard would
Mhm.
be, that would be very, very strong. And I don't think I
Yes.
personally have any photos that represent that. So if that's something you
Yes.
guys can get to me at some point,
Yeah. Well,
I
let's
will help
Absolutely.
incorporate those into a campaign.
Yeah, so Heather, we would love Wild Horses Foundation would love to collaborate with you on that. And
Awesome.
for sure, and join forces and get this information out. And absolutely. So thank you so much. We in years past in 2010, 2011, when we first formed, we did perform postcard campaigns and always found them to be successful. So love that idea.
Yeah, what's great about postcards is they don't have to sit in the mailroom and be tested for anything or open for any
Yes.
reason. It's just a postcard. So it gets to the legislators much faster than letters. Not that I'm discouraging anybody from sending letters. Please continue to do so. But we just love the postcards and how visual they are. All right, I have one more question before I let you guys know, and this one is from Karen. Karen says, I love your positivity and calmness, reflection on who you work with.
Um, so
Wait,
thank you so much. I'm not understanding what she would like to ask. Thank you so much, Karen.
I think maybe she's asking, I don't know, what do you think, Jackie? I think maybe she's asking, who do you surround yourself with? That, you're probably positive and calm anyway.
Oh,
But maybe
oh,
just a reflection on who you work with that helps to keep you this way.
oh, oh, sure. Well, I will try to give my story in brief. So Karen, thank you very much. I and everybody listening. So I suffered a very intense,
Mm.
life-changing, traumatic event, in which both of my children were killed in a car accident 8 years ago. Um, and what happens after that point is either a human collapses or you find a way to live and honor those beings who passed and were killed. And so I dedicate this work to my beautiful sons, Chance and Lance, and I feel them in spirit, and they send me many signs that they're here. And the horses give me the calm and the peace. So Mystic and Star, who I personally have been gentling and working with for Mystic for about 4 years now, and walking with the wild horses. The wild horses, their heart vibrates 10 times that of a human heart energetically. And so, when a human, when the stress is just too much in a human's life and the pressure and all, and when you can't even speak to a person, to just go be in the presence of horses, it can help give you strength and peace and calm. So for me, the horses have, as I was saving the horses, in fact, instead, they also save me, you know.
And I
Yep.
can totally understand that. Every time I go out on the range, wild horses, I'm not hungry, I'm not thirsty, I feel no pain. It's the best place in the world to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like you're the most present you ever been when you're
Yeah.
amongst them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I do agree with that. I was going to initially skip this question, but Angela has asked it twice now. And since you do live in California, Jahara, I am just going to quickly pose it to you before we let you go. But
Okay.
she's asking about the wild horse roundups in California and
Mm.
Yeah.
how those herds, both by BLM and Forest Service, especially Devil's Garden as of late, are being absolutely devastated.
Mm.
And I guess she's asking, do you have any suggestions
Yes.
of what to do there?
Yeah. So, and thank you, Angela, for that question. Definitely, we need a magic wand, unfortunately, to solve this situation. And basically, the work that we're doing with our projects is so important. And unfortunately, we can't push the river and move it forward any faster. We do need to allow time for the land to heal and actually for the evidence to come forward. But really, right now, unfortunately, until we can reach someone who is higher up than the basic people who are I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I don't know how else to say this. Pencil pushers, we're going to have to go to the top, in our opinion, in order to create this change. And because the U.S. Forest Service, in fact, is the agency, one of the reasons that they did conduct a roundup in the past of the Devil's Garden horses was due to, they claimed that the Mexican jumping mouse was endangered and the horses were threatening its habitat. But as I mentioned earlier, we are seeing the Mexican jumping mouse living and newly appeared on the 500 acres in Nevada. So right now it's a matter, unfortunately, of us just continuing to bring positive information forward and never ever giving up. So to continue sharing, to continue speaking to your legislators, messaging Governor Newsom, your senators, and just never giving up, and also rallying community. So we are great strength in number, and the majority voice rules. So when we truly are the majority, I believe that they will just have to look at the evidence and take it into consideration and understand that in fact the wild horses are a tremendous gift for Western ecosystems when they live in balance and when they are not made to share that land with overpopulation of cattle. So
Yeah.
what we're really seeing is separating the horses from the cattle is the answer. That's really what we're seeing. And we know that we're never going to be able to say everybody, all the ranchers, remove your cows. We're not advocating for that. We are saying that in fact the horses are a gift even for those ranchers. And that's what's really important to understand, because the point that the Forest Service and the BLM, they receive a lot of pressure, I believe, from ranchers, and that's our understanding, to remove the horses. And so if in fact the ranchers can understand that placing the horses in their own protected area for a period of time, and perhaps even then moving them on to another period of area to heal, is a solution in itself that will save taxpayers money. It'll save these beautiful animals' lives, and heal communities as well, and save communities from wildfire and climate disasters.
And I just want to add, if you take your frustration and anger, obviously in a very respectful way, and contact your legislators, and not waste your energy and time trying to convince BLM and Forest Service,
Yeah,
because you're going to get nowhere. They're never going to be like, oh, that's a great idea.
right.
We got to hit, our legislators and just stay at it. It's frustrating. And, you know, I sometimes send an email, I drop a letter in the mail, I weekly sometimes. Like, it's, I just keep on, if I don't get an answer, I just send another one and another
I'd
one
like
and another one.
And Jackie, I'd like to say one more thing real quick before everybody drops off. And
Yes.
that is really our focus. Everyone, if you can please keep your eyes out for appropriate land to rewild some of the horses to. So if, if in fact the U.S. Forest Service removes more horses, which probably they will, if the BLM removes more horses, probably they will. Well, if we have land set up and ready, then we can just put them back on the land. Okay, so we need everybody's help to be scouting land and ideal sites for the horses.
Yeah, and if you
Yes.
guys see any land, just send them an email and let them guys know you found something, and they'll see if they can make that work. And I love what Jackie said about dropping something in the mail every week. You guys, the entire purpose of this summit is putting the A in advocacy. And the best way to advocate is to make your voices heard, not only to other advocates, which, we all constantly do, but the people who really need to hear this are our legislators. Your state legislators will help you get a hold of your federal legislators. But, if you write 5 letters and stick them in envelopes and then pop one in the mail every 4 or 5 days, like that's just a great plan. Just have them sitting there on the counter ready to pop into the mailbox every 4 or 5 days, or a handful of postcards, or make that call or send an email. All of those ways, even if you don't hear back from your legislator, they're still receiving it, they're still seeing it. And it's important to keep continuing to present them with all of this information that we're giving you guys during these sessions. So I want to give a huge thank you out to Jetara and to Jackie for joining us today. And I hope you guys will all go ahead and take a look at their website. Keep your eyes out for any large open pieces of land that you can refer them to so they can see if they can make that work. And thank you so much, Jetara, for sharing your personal story with us and the story of the horses that you're working with. We greatly appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. From all of us at Love Wild Horses Foundation and all the wild horses, to everybody who's attended, and especially you, Heather and Chris, for hosting this. We're so grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And everybody, we'll see you in a half hour for our next presentation.
Sounds good. Blessings. Thank you.